Alright, hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to do color transparencies in Cloud Pebble for your Pebble time. Because I've seen a bunch of tutorials on how to do transparencies, but they only seem to ever work for black and white. This is probably the most detailed one I've seen so far. This is the one I was following before, as you can see here. That's not it. Oh, it switched my product, didn't it? Okay, I'll show you the other project real quick. And transparency test. Alright, so this is the example they gave me. As you can see, you just have a file here called image panda. You can have it black and white, you can have it color. I followed the steps exactly, and when I compile and run it on the Pebble time, let's take a look at what happens. Just to give you a background first, you'll want to have at least an understanding of the basics of watch faces in order to understand how to do this. So if you haven't already followed the first couple tutorials, you might want to follow that. Alright, and if you take a look, this is the problem I ran into a bunch of times. You get the watch face, but as you notice, it's in black and white. All your colors are gone. I believe that has to do with a certain problem with the transparencies. It fully hasn't been implemented in the Pebble time just yet. So there are two different types of the Pebble. The Pebble Classics platform is called Applite. The Pebble time is called Basalt. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Sorry. Correct me in the comments with a bunch of exclamation points. Yeah, so the Pebble time only supports two different formatting types. Sorry about that. It only supports two different compositing types. So there is, even in the old Pebble, there's no real true transparency. So I don't have a Pebble time to test this out with, but the best thing I've found is you have to actually split your code a little bit based on what platform you're working with. Just take a look real quick at this code. Again, supplied by this page right here. If we take a look at this, it actually does have a split in there. Like I said, the compositing works on the Pebble time, even with the Pebble time's limited compositing, but it only takes a black and white image. And what I did to actually solve this problem was I looked at here and I found that they have special if statements specifically set up for the platform. Like if you're running on Basalt or whatever, Pebble time, if you're running on the Pebble time, I'll say that from now on so people don't get upset, then there's some different things you have to do around here. So where's another example? I believe the compositing mode should be one big one. Okay, that looks like it's just about it. I thought there was more. Anyway, basically, if you're running on Pebble time, you have to do a little something different with the bounds. Else, okay, yeah, because there's different commands that you can't do in a later version of the platform. Anyway, so to fix this, I needed multiple layers with transparency on my latest project, so there's a little bit of what I had to do to modify it. Again, you'll definitely want to have gone through the first couple levels of the tutorial before you start watching this. So what I did was I realized that the transparency that gives you the two separate files, as shown here, as you can see here, it says resource ID, image, panda, white, and black. Those aren't two separate files the person uploaded. Whenever you upload with PNG transparency type, as shown here, it will give you two separate identifiers for it. I typed in identifier PET foreground legacy when I uploaded a single file. You don't need a color one since the PNG of transparency is only being used for just the classic Pebble. As you can see here, it gives me two separate identifiers for it. PET legacy white, PET legacy black. So that is great for the original Pebble, but it causes problems in the Pebble time from what I've seen so far. Again, they may fix this in an update. Check the comments or check the annotations. I'll have an update if they do fix that. So what I had to do was, of course, you have your background. Your background doesn't need anything special. That's not my background. That's my old image before. This is what it looked like before I started using multiple layers. Okay, background. So here we go. This black background is the background image. You don't have to do anything special. You can just use a PNG file. Alright, so my foreground is here. Nope, sorry. Okay, so here's my foreground. As you can see, based on the fact that you can see through it and see this back box here, you can tell this actually has transparency to it. But the type I used was PNG. You may be asking why, because if you highlight this, it only gives you one identifier. The problem is when you're trying to run on Pebble time, it gets the two identifiers get confused or something, and it just gives you the black and white image. Anyway, we're 4 minutes in, so let's go see some code. Alright, so the first thing you'll want to do is, my layout might look a little bit different than yours. I'll give you some time where I'll scroll slow so you can see what you need. This is all the basic stuff. You can see here I have commented pretty much everything since I've only been using C for like 2 weeks. So, and also this is probably just a compilation of the first couple tutorials. So the thing you'll need to know is we're going to look at window main load. This is what happens when you actually load up the window. As you can see here, even though I said the Pebble Time doesn't really like the white and black layers thing, we're still declaring them up here because we will still need them on one platform. So let's go ahead and scroll down a little bit. And as you can see here, we have the background declared here. There's nothing special about this. We're just declaring the we're importing the background to our background bitmap, making a rectangle to hold it, and over here we are setting the background to the image. So that means we have one layer on the bottom, nothing fancy. This will work on the Pebble Time and the Pebble Classics, so the Pebble Steel and the original Pebble. Alright, and we're adding the layer, so that means this layer should be on the bottom since C reads from top to bottom, I believe. Again, not great with C, sorry. Alright, so the next thing, this is where it starts to get a little bit tricky. Like I said before, there are two different, the old way of making transparencies doesn't quite work on the Pebble Time. It does, but you get black and white, which we don't want. So what we're using here is an if statement, just like theirs was. Oh, looks like my spacing's a little bit off. Alright, so we're saying if we're running on AppLite, which is older Pebble, of course, then we'll use then we'll need both these things. We'll need a black and we'll need a white. And for the black and the white, we're going to pull from our legacy image. Because remember I said here about using a legacy image with PNG transparency, so you get two different files. All you have to do is just upload just the black and white image, because remember the color is not using this fancy stuff. So upload your black and white image, remember your identifier, then come back here. And this if statement is really important. You say only if we're using that do we import specifically our legacy files, the black side and the white side. And if we're running Pebble Time, then all we need is our foreground image. Remember, this is separate from this. These aren't connected. These are totally different files. Foreground's right here. And remember, it's our PNG that we did not say has a transparency. All right, and now we're going to end the if statement because this is an if-else statement, or else if, sorry. So that means that this only runs if this is only even checked if this is not true. So if we're not running the Pebble Time, then if we're not running the original Pebble, are we running on the Pebble Time? If yes, then do this. Alright, so now our resource should be filled in for either platform. If we're running the original Pebble, will you be using our legacy file? If we're running the Pebble Time, we'll use our Pebble Time file. Alright, and then all we're doing is making a new layer of the proper size at 0, 0. These first two are the coordinates we start at, and these two are the size. So if you want to make it bigger or someplace else, then you'll have to keep that in mind. Alright, and let's go down to the white portion. This is what I said for the white portion, even though it's not. Remember, this is still just a torn up version of a bunch of different tutorials I've read online. Alright, moving on down. It says we're creating the foreground layer itself. So remember, the foreground layer is the one that's going to go on top of that. So if you're using 3 layers, you may want to have this called middle, so you can actually remember that you're working with the middle and not with the topmost layer. So I'm only using 2 for now, and we'll call this foreground. Alright, so what do we set the foreground to? We're setting it to white.bitmap, or white_bitmap. So white_bitmap, if you remember from up here, is, where is it? I think I may have lost it. Alright, so white bitmap, if we're running on original Pebble, it's our legacy image, the white version. If we're running on Pebble Time, it's just our PNG file that we have over here. Sorry if this is a little bit redundant, but this is the best way I remember things, so it may help other people. And if not, you just get more information. Yay. Alright, so I just forgot where we were. Alright, so we were under this. We already did this. Alright, so we put the white layer in there. Oh, sorry. I lost my place for a second. Okay, we set the foreground with the white bitmap in there, which I just said was depends on which platform we're using, depends on what this is. But we will always have white bitmap. No matter what we stored up there, we will always have a white bitmap. Alright, so moving on down. This is where it gets a little bit tricky again. We're saying if we're running on the original Pebble, then what we do is we set the compositing mode to gcomp op or. And if I didn't say this before, I forgot. I've recorded this video like 3 times already. There are different compositing methods we can use on the Pebble, but only about 2 of them will actually work on the Pebble time so far. So in the future, this may be improved, but at the moment, it's not great. So basically, some of these methods that work really great on the original Pebble will not work on the time at all. So based on the tutorial and based on my testing, this is the best way to do it on the original Pebble. So we're going to go ahead and say, okay, we're going to use this special compositing method on only if we're running on the original Pebble. Scrolling down, we see else if we're running on the Pebble time, then we will set the compositing method of white layer. Again, they both say white layer, but depending on what platform we're running, white layer will contain a different image. And for this, we have to use comp op set and an end if. So this basically means that this will again only be run if this is not true, and this end if means that all this stuff comes afterwards. All right. So now we add the layer. See white layer here. We're making it a new layer. Putting it up there. All right, and now this is the fun part. Remember I said you need 2 separate images to make it transparency in the classic Pebble? Well, that's what this next part is for. We're saying if define platform equals applet, again, original Pebble, then we have to set up the black portion. Before, the white portion was enough, but for the original Pebble, we need 2 separate files. All right, so we're going to go ahead and say we're creating a layer on foreground. And we're going to be setting the bitmap to black. And remember, we only have black filled in if we're running a classic Pebble. So if you're running time, 1, you'll never even see this code if you're running on the Pebble time. And 2, it won't even be filled in. So I don't think it should be using up any extra memory. But again, I'm not great with C. So if there's any corrections to be made, let me know in the comments. All right, and we're going to set the compassing mode to clear. I believe that means it will wipe out the stuff that's the same in both. Or sorry, the stuff that's opposite in both, and actually give us a transparent image. All right, and then this is my old foreground code from before when I was just using something else. And then the only thing that's left is the text layers and the watch face improvements from the other tutorials. And of course, you want to destroy everything in your unload, so just keep that in mind. All right, if you want to change things, you can always put them in the tick handler. That's where the time is updated. As you can see here, update time. But again, that's all you really need to know for transparency. So let's go ahead and run this on the, I believe I compiled it before. So we're going to go ahead and run this on the compilation original Pebble, just to show you it works on both. All right, it's booted up. And as you can see, we actually have our 2 layers. They're composited perfectly. There's our background. Here's our foreground. And now let's go ahead and run it on the Pebble time. Again, some things may change when the Pebble time's actually out, but as of now, it should give us transparency with color. And there you go. So this code actually works on the original Pebble and the Pebble time and gives you the same result. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you know anything I can improve on, or if I did a bunch of redundant codes, please let me know in the comments. Again, I've only been working in C for about 2 weeks, so I can guarantee that I am not the best at this. If you find a better tutorial that has to work on both, but if you find a better tutorial that works on both, please let me know. Alright, I'll see all you guys later, or in my next video. This is not a normal video. This is probably like a one-off thing. I just want to make a video because I couldn't find anything on this. I'm sure somebody else wants to know. Alright, so I will see you guys later. If you want my Mega Man watch face when it's out, just let me know, and I'll give you guys updates on that. But yeah, so see you guys later. Bye.